Hi, my name is Molly Gilbert, and I'm the Director of Business Development over at Vinland National Center, where I come to you live from right now. We are located in Loretto, Minnesota, sometimes also known as Independence. We're right on Lake Independence, right next to the YMCA Camp Idahoppy. We call this nonprofit row up here because we take over pretty much the northwest part of the lake. So Vinland is on 180 acres of restored prairie, woods, lakefront. It's gorgeous. And of course, the summer months are the time to for sure be here if you like to go fishing and go out on boat rides and stuff like that. But it's beautiful all year round. And we do have paths that are sort of mowed into all the grass and lanes and stuff like that. And then we've got paved as well around the lake. So there's plenty of places to exercise and get out and enjoy the abundant nature. For those of you that aren't aware, Vinland National Center is a substance use disorder treatment center that is exclusively for those with cognitive difficulties. So this would be traumatic brain injury, acquired brain injury, fetal alcohol syndrome, fetal alcohol effect, sometimes folks on the spectrums, and those with severe and persistent mental illness, because we've got a heavy mental health wing here with our own psychiatrist and psychologist and mental health professionals. So we've got 61 beds here, all for men at this point, residential, not hospital-based. We are not a locked facility. So if a client chooses to leave, they choose to leave. We're not going to chase them. This is not a locked facility. This is a place that people come to because they really want to get better, and they really want to have the chance to do that. We get a lot of referrals from all over the state and from out of state oftentimes too. We work with most all insurance companies, state funded, private, you name it. And we've got a crew here of accounting folks that can help you with that if you've got questions on that. Some of the things I wanted to just go over briefly, because we get a lot of questions on this on our website when people write in, is that we've got an application process. We do participate in direct access, of course, but we do have an extra step that we ask for, just because oftentimes we need to know what we're working with, right? We're not for everyone. We're not a treatment center that's for absolutely a fit for everybody. There's only 4 in the country that do what we do and are, really sort of experts in working with folks with TBIs. When I say that, I mean that our front-facing staff, most of our front-facing staff are CBIS certified, that's certified brain injury specialists. The other 3 that I'm aware of are out of state and they are hospital-based. So we're the only residential program that offers what we do. So therefore, we can't take everybody. So we want to be sure that you're a good fit, or that the client is a good fit for our program. And the one way we do that is by asking a client or the client's referent to fill out something called the Vinland Medical Screening Form. That can be found on our website, which is where you are now. And you can just email that in or fax it in. And once we get that, the application, hi, who are you? Who's your support system? What telephone number do we contact you at? That puts a client in line to be considered for admission. So there's a few things we can't work with. Sadly, we can't work with folks with a real violent background. Everything is looked at it on a case-by-case basis, but this is a vulnerable population. And so we need to be sure that the milieu isn't negatively affected and people aren't being taken advantage of. So we have to be careful that way, but we will look at everybody. And if you've got somebody that is advocating for you, all the better, because then they can, they can say, okay, they can talk to admissions, say, okay, well, this offense happened, but it happened X number of years ago, and it was a situational thing. It's not a continual behavioral pattern that is violent, etc. We can't work with folks with sexual offenses, sadly, and our arsonist. We can't work with folks with arson on the background, but other than that, we work with pretty much everybody. So that's the process to get accepted, is you fill out the forms, you get them in. Once you get them in, boom, then we have you in line. Unfortunately, what people will do is they'll send in like an assessment that they have, which is great. If you've got a drug alcohol assessment, they'll send that in and then they'll call and say, well, when can I get in? Is there an available bed? And that's not how it works. We have to have those other forms. So once you have those other forms in, and say you send in your assessment, but you haven't filled out the other forms, and somebody else fills out the forms without the assessment, they're going to be in line first, because we need to have that medical background on a client to know whether we can help or not. We certainly, everybody that is here has to be mobile on their own, whether it's in a wheelchair or walker or cane or on their own. They have to be able to get from place to place on their own without a personal care attendant. Our rooms are either 2 people to a room, 3 people to a room, and I think we've got 1 that is 4 to a room. We might have 2 that are 4 to a room at this point, but and it just kind of depends on what your needs are and what your personality is, where we will end up rooming you. The rooms are a lot like college dorm rooms. You've got storage, you've got a little closet, the sinks and toiletries are in the room, and then you share a bathroom. Like if there's 2 on one side, you'll share a bathroom with the 2 on the other, and it's a very large ADA compliant bathroom. Our case managers here have about 7 or 8 clients on a caseload, and that is because of the population we're working with. Folks need to have a lot more attention, a lot more one-on-one, a lot more of an individualized approach. So there's not going to be as much homework. There's not going to be as much filling out of forms once a client is here. It's much more experiential, and we'll take them out for a mindfulness training, for example, out on a pontoon boat, and say, this is where we're going to do mindfulness. So nobody's smoking, nobody's talking. This is going to be about paying attention to the here and now, where you are, what's happening in the moment. It's just a really different way of doing things, and it's very, like I said, it's very individualized. So it's a wonderful opportunity for the right folks. In the past, we haven't seen people come here until about their 7th treatment episode, and that's why we're out in the community now doing trainings for drug courts, treatment courts, vet courts, to educate the professionals in those courts on the work that we do, but also how to help identify if you might be working with somebody that might have a TBI or a cognitive issue, because it's going to be important that that team helps assist that person in what they need. Oftentimes, the problem with folks with TBIs is it's called the silent epidemic, because unless you see someone with a shaved head and a big scar, you don't know whether you're dealing with a TBI. They look like you or I. So unless somebody self-admits or identifies, which oftentimes they won't do in a criminal justice environment, understandably, because you don't want to seem vulnerable, then you don't know that that's what you're working with. And you won't tell. Oftentimes other mainstream treatment centers won't know until they notice the client isn't tracking. They're not following direction. They're not showing up when they're supposed to. Now, how is that different from any other newly recovering addict or alcoholic? Well, there's a difference. You can really tell the difference. You can tell when somebody really wants to do it, but isn't able, versus somebody that is willfully ignoring advice and appointments, etc. So it's very simple, or it's very easy for our people to waive Miranda rights, for example, if they're involved in the criminal justice system, or sign something that they probably shouldn't sign. And so that's something that we're trying to make courts and systems aware of, so that they can help, maybe by calling the night before and saying, hey, Tom, you've got a court appointment tomorrow at 8:30. It's just a reminder call. The likelihood of them showing up after something like that versus not getting a call is pretty remarkable. So it's just, again, it's not treating everyone like a cookie cutter approach, but treating everyone individually. And that can be really hard for big systems to do. So we're trying to play our role in helping educate others to do that. If you are with an organization that refers to Vinland or would like to refer to Vinland or would like to just simply learn more about Vinland, you can certainly give me a call directly. I'm at 763-479-4525. That's my direct line. Otherwise, I'm at Molly G, MOLLYG at vinlandcenter.org. Feel free to reach out to me if you guys want a training or something like that. We come out and we have a 45-minute PowerPoint that we'll do along with 15 minutes of Q&A afterwards. And people seem to find that helpful. Of course, it talks a lot about what we do in our history, but it also talks about things that you can do in your practices to help these folks that really need that help. And, they don't have to come to Vinland to get that help. They just need to have people have an awareness of how to best work with them. So we hope to help folks out to do that. And if you have any need, just let me know. Otherwise, if you have other questions, you can certainly call into our main line. If you have questions for admissions, etc. That telephone number is 763-479-3555. I want to be mindful to mention that we have an outpatient services program as well that is serving all genders at this point. And they are over in Northeast Minneapolis, Stinson and Broadway area, right on the bus line. And if you're from out of the area, so you're outstate Minnesota, you can do via telehealth, our outpatient program, if that works for you. So in the privacy of your own home, or you can be sitting in your car on a work break. And we also offer problem gambling treatment that way. The difference between the two is that problem gambling treatment is paid for by the state of Minnesota for anyone in need, and we don't need insurance for it. And we offer assessments as well over the phone or over the computer, however you want to do it, if you can't make it in person or if you live further away. So those are two great programs that are offered through our outpatient, and wanted you to be aware of them. Outpatient can be reached directly at 763-479-4881. So I hope this gives you a little introduction on Vinland. We have been around for 30 years. We are a nonprofit, and we just want to do the next right thing for the next person in need. So again, feel free to reach out to me if you're a professional in the field and you have other questions. Otherwise, if you are a potential client or family member, please do call admissions directly. They're the best people to answer those questions. Again, 763-479-3555. Thanks so much. Find our forms on our website at www.vinlandcenter.org. That's VINLAND center.org. Bye. Hope this helps.